Hey, this is Jen from Midnight Sky Fibers, and today I'm showing you how to bind off for a drop stitch scarf. So in the previous video I showed you how to knit a nice and loose drop stitch scarf that has 2 yarn overs in between every stitch and 3 garter stitch rows. You can see that the cast on area and the area that I'm going to bind off here both have 3 rows of garter stitch. If we just did the yarn over sections right at the beginning or the end, it would stretch out funny at the bottom because the garter stitch gives it a little bit more stability. But since drop stitch scarves are such a nice stretchy fabric, I want to make sure that the bind off that I'm using is also equally stretchy. So the favorite bind off that I use is just a really stretchy bind off. You start by knitting 2 stitches. Then you're going to insert your left needle into the right needle, wrap the yarn over as if to knit, and this is of course mirror image to you, and knit the stitch. And we're going to do that again. So you're going to knit 1 stitch from your left needle, insert the left needle into both stitches, wrap the yarn around the right needle and knit it together as usual. We're going to do that all the way across, being careful not to pull anything too tight, because the whole point of this bind off is that we get a really nice loose bind off that'll be as stretchy as the rest of the scarf is. And then once you get to the end, you're just going to pull the yarn through. And as you can see, I'm just going to break the yarn. I only have a couple of feet left when I'm done, which is good, and you can see that the bind off is just as stretchy. Then we're also going to weave in the ends. See if we can avoid the cat helping me here. So we're going to start by weaving in the ends. The way I like to do it is I like to just weave in between the garter bumps back, and you want to make sure that you turn a couple times. The nice part about hand spun yarn is that hand spun yarn is really textured, so you don't really see where you're weaving in the ends too much, which is great since I am really lazy. Side 1. Side 2, I want that just a little bit shorter still. I like my ends to be between 6 and 8 inches if I can, just so that it's really easy to weave in the ends. Since I really hate to weave in ends, and I'll avoid it at almost all costs. So I'm just weaving the ends in up, pulling it tight and pulling it, but I'm also making sure it's stretchy enough as I'm weaving in the ends that it's not going to be looser or tighter than the rest of the fabric is, because you don't want the edges of your fabric to go in. So there we go. You can't see really where the end is coming out. So then I'll just trim the yarn closely, being careful not to cut any of the edges of the drop stitch scarf, and I'm good to go. Great. Hope you have fun knitting drop stitch scarves. Jen.